How's it going, everybody? Moses here with the first ever post-launch Wolcen video. A lot has happened, and I will try and make this short as much as I can. Just let me tell you in one sentence, Wolcen is amazing. That's it. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, so it was two sentences. Never mind. Let's get into this character. I ended up spending, some time on a previous character in offline mode, and then a longer time on a level 35 online mode character, and then I ended up starting another offline mode because the servers are all sorts of dodgy and sketchy, and this is it. This is the RIP servers character, my highest character currently. I have a 26, 35, and 46. So three characters. We ended up splitting our time between all the three, but this one is the strongest one. This is the one that I would like to make this showcase about. So yeah, first of all, a melee warrior is my first melee character, is my first character in the game, melee. Usually I go for spells, but this game just feels, melee just feels so good. And I mean, I don't regret it for a second. It just really feels great and powerful. Something like I've never really particularly liked melee, but I guess I just needed to, play Wolcen to realize how much I like it. But it is freaking great, and this one in particular. So, what's up with this guy? First, I picked up the strongest two-handed weapon. Two-handed in this game are king, one-handers not so much. And outside of that, just try and get as much resist as you can. Like, material resists, occult resists, elemental resist, and then two all elemental resistances. On sockets, try and get just like life. That's what I try to get. Over here, we got, just like 143 to all resists, and then some attack speed, some agility. Stat points on gear are incredibly strong, so try and get those. Here, for example, I got two all attributes on this amulet. Another thing that is good, flat damage added to attacks whenever you can get it, usually jewelry, lightning damage to attacks. Here, do I have it? Here I do not have it. It's just a good life ring with a socket. See, flat physical damage added to attacks. Whenever you can get flat added to attacks or to spells, if you're a spellcaster, it scales wonderfully and end up being a very strong addition to increase your tooltip DPS. And if you're not sure, you can always simply look at the tooltip DPS and replace between the pieces of gear, and it will kind of let you know the average damage stat here. When you drop like an item, it shows slightly slower, lower number, and then a higher number when you put the item on. So you kind of like replace and check what's best for that. When it comes to the sockets, again, I just put some life sockets here, physical damage over here, attack crit chance, and crit chance over here. And then for the rest, just life or resist and as many stats that I can put on. High priority for crit chance, high priority for ferocity, because this is a crit build. And the skills I'm using, the skills I'm using are mainly two to deal damage with. Bleeding Edge, mostly for bosses, but big targets as well. Also for clear, I mean, it's a very strong skill. I'm basically using two skills simultaneously. Bleeding Edge and Wrath of Bapheth. I don't know how to read that, so we'll just call it Wrath. So I'm using Wrath and the Bleeding Edge. While Bleeding Edge is spinning, because I'm using the axe now follows you as you move, and axe continues to spin after being thrown. So if you got these two little modifiers, on top I got some weapon damage and some crit chance, but if you got these two modifiers, you're going to be able to have this sort of effect. You can just run, and these spin next, like right around you, and you can have like sometimes two. If you spam them, if there's monsters and all that, you'll have like two spinning blades. And while this is taking place, you also use the Wrath skill, which is essentially God of War. Remember that, console game, God of War? Great. So that one is the skill here. It's essentially it. So, and it's cool, but not only it's cool and just like lovely, it deals tons of damage and it clears really nice because look at that AoE of these chains. It's practically a third of the screen, so it's a very nice leveling skill for AoE, and it deals a whole lot of damage, but for single target, I would mostly use the Bleeding Edge. And the thing about it is that while Bleeding Edge is spinning, you can deal additional damage. This is 5 seconds. 5 seconds is a long duration. So you'll put on this down and then spam some of these. This costs a lot less rage, and when monsters die near you, because of this node right here in Warmonger, which actually is a pretty strong cluster for warriors, you'll get 35 rage generation on kill. Alright, so that's the gist of the idea of the build. If we look at individual skills, I'm using Wings of Ishmir. The thing about Wolcen is that you can click this reset button and without any kind of cost you can apply points to whatever it is that you want. It doesn't really matter what it is. You know, you can just choose whatever it is that you want. So, you know, yeah, that's, you know, so I'm not going to go through every single one of the, you know, oh yeah, this is the one. So I'm not going to go through every single, is this the one? Yeah. So I'm not going to go through every single modifier. You guys play around with it, choose what you can, and you unlock them gradually as you level up and you unlock points, so it's not going to mean too much. Just play around, learn what they do, and you know, and just get to know the skills and see what it is that it is your preference. But for me, I'm using the Wings of Ishmir. Essentially, it's a rage generating, buff creating skill that will, you know, give you some damage and will generate more rage for you. And it's also a movement skill that you can kind of like leap, deal damage, stun enemies, and then start slapping them. Right, so that's the one, and then the second one is the Sovereign Shout, which is another buff generating skill. It gives you, you can see, crit chance score, move speed, rage generation, all resist, attack speed, and spell cast speed. So it's a pretty, you know, chunky buff, and it also generates you 300 rage, which is great since you got 1k. And yeah, it is also a cooldown spell, so these are the two kind of like utility spells, the damage dealers. And here I got Tracker's Reach, which is essentially a hook, right? So this hook, let's take a look at it. Right here, I'm using the pulls enemies from all directions, right? See this little star? It's relatively late in the game that you can get that, but that's fine. The idea, the reason why this skill exists on my bar is solely for this. I mean, it's nice to have it, enemies being pulled and all that, stunned, but Stasis is here, the name of the game, the core of this build, the idea behind it is Arresting Claw modifier gives you 100% stasis for 4 seconds, which is great because Stasis allows you to make use of this node right here. Time Weaver, which time cannot heal, is a node that, with the combination of this, give you 120% damage the enemy is going to take in a 1.5 second delay. What does that mean? When you hit an enemy, 1.5 seconds afterwards, he gets the same damage all over again if he's stasis. So this will generate stasis to all nearby enemies because it's from all over the place, and enemies will take a 1.2 more damage of what you dealt a second 0.5 later as you keep hitting it. And it's not just the one time, it's continuous echo of whatever damage you do without any kind of damage penalty. As a matter of fact, it's 1.2, not 1 times more. It's 1.2 times more the damage you do if you pick up these two nodes, 100% and 20%. So it's incredibly broken, right? And it's gonna get changed, probably gonna get nerfed, and even then, probably gonna still be worth it. But for now, that's what I'm using. The damage is quite incredible, you're going to see. And then outside of that, I'm just trying to scale crit on the tree. We get all the crit, the rage utility per kill. Here we got some damage for nearby enemies within, you know, 4 meters around you. You get a 5% per enemy that's nearby. Um, Here we got some big attack speed cluster with good attack speed over here. Stat points, in my opinion, are very strong, so I'm picking them up. You don't have to if you don't want to, but I do, because 100 stat points, and generally stat points are kind of god. They increase this damage, and this is a multiplier to everything, right? It's a global bonus damage you're getting from attributes. So the more attributes you got, the more damage you make, in a more interesting kind of like not Diablo 3 kind of way. But yeah, let's not get in there. So yeah, all the stat points that I picked up here are unnecessary, but I decided to go for them. And then outside of that, I tried to pick up as much crit as I can. And we got this crit, little 3 crit cluster here. And then there's more crit, and there's going to be more crit, and guess what? Attack speed, not crit. So Alaster, if you've crit recently, you're going to get 100% increased attack speed. So that's going to be pretty dope. So we're going to pick that up with these 2 crit nodes. And after that, I don't really know where I'm going to go with the tree, but most likely going to fill in all the melee weapon damage from Warmonger. Going to grab some more, you know, I don't know how to read this name, Praetorian maybe, I don't know. The maximum health, the all resists cluster, there's some damage nodes here that you can get, attack damage, crit damage, so something like that. I haven't really paid too much thought to it, but this is essentially the build. And now comes the gameplay. So you have this. I have unlocked apparently level 43. I think it was 41, the first level that you're getting, which I believe is like the last level of the story. I don't know, but either way, 43 is the one that I just unlocked. You can add modifiers, but I'm kind of low on gold because these projects cost kind of a lot. I don't want to get into these projects too much. Just figure it out. I haven't just yet, so there's not much I can explain too much about it. But essentially, you create buildings, you finish projects, and you get bonuses. That's the gist. But yeah. So these cost, you know, sometimes hundreds of thousands of gold, and I'm kind of broke right now. I mean, but essentially you pick up a modifier for 2,500 gold. You can do that 3 times, so 7.5k gold per expedition. And you'll just choose random modifiers. For example, curse chance on hit for underlings. We just picked it up. We can continue and do 3 more. And we can also lure untainted, which is something I don't really know what it does, but again, I don't want to use my resource just yet. So yeah, you can add modifiers, and then you'll get like magic find, quantity, and productivity, which is the stat that you're going to use for the buildings and all that. Alright, so this is the start. You can also choose to accept a challenge. That challenge is definitely accept every time. It makes a random modifier happen that gives you additional magic find and quantity, so you definitely want that. Explosions occur randomly while in combat, so something to dodge. And this is an expedition. There are plenty of them, and they're all kind of like random. And you gotta kill everything, not everything, but like, yeah, explosions. So you gotta kill the, you know, see what happens with the blades. You gotta kill the enemies based on the bar that you have right here on the right side, and then when you have full progression happening, then you're getting, you know, a boss. You can the boss spawns at the end of the dungeon, always like in a fixed spot, and then you go kill the boss. After you're done, you can go down a deeper level, and if you finish 3 of them, you unlock another another like difficulty in the oh, great sword. Another difficulty in the expedition menu that we started the expedition with. So yeah, we got this going, this is spinning. While this is spinning, we got our blades happening. If we're running out of you know, rage, we can you know, just use our shouts. And yeah, that's basically it. Now when there's like an elite pack or a boss or something like that, I'm going to use this okay, this is a pack, so I'm just going to use the you know, stasis, and see, a second and a half afterwards they keep taking more damage. There's another tick of damage because of that. It's kind of hard to see because they die so quickly, but yeah, there was another tick of damage after. If you watch that in like slow-mo, you'll be able to tell there's another tick of damage after the original tick because they were stasis, in fact, and everything is stasis when I'm pressing this button. Yeah, these were not did not get hit. Also, another thing that's like super cool is the fact that inside the expeditions you also have side areas. You know, see, another tick right after the original hit. So yeah, it's just incredibly busted at the moment. So this is a side area within the you know, within the expedition itself. These are usually smaller levels with like a boss in the end, or some sort of a small objective, or a treasure chest, or a vendor that sells you unique items, or stuff like that. It's like very, very cool little side dungeon that you can get. See, it's like just very, very small right here. This time it's just a 50 chance to summon a ghost shrine. I don't know, okay. I don't know about that too much. I also like the fact that the game like feels a lot more deliberate, a lot kind of like more, a lot slower, you know. It's not like zoom zoom speed runs, blow up the entire screen, you know, kind of deal. Alright, this seems to be the boss right here. Not this guy, but this guy. So yeah, he stasis, and you can see we just blew him up immediately. You feel free to watch this in slow-mo, try and separate between the original and the secondary hits, but yeah, it's gonna be a bit tough. Anyways, I could go lower and get into a higher level, but I'm not gonna, not right now. Right now, I'm just gonna show you there's a trade shrine, so you can toss all the stuff that you don't need to the vendor, and you can either choose between going back to Stormfall and completing the objective, or going down to the next level and push further. But since I'm just after a 16-hour stream and my speech is slurring, I'm super tired. It's literally 9 AM and we've been streaming since freaking yesterday. I gotta go to bed. We'll finish. So this is the reward, and we're getting a bunch of XP, a little bit of gold, and productivity applied. So productivity is like the resource that you use over here. I really don't want to get into it too much because I'm not entirely sure how it works, but essentially, like I said, you make buildings and you get stuff happening. For example, unlocking your 5th skill slot, or unlocking your where is it? F? Yeah, unlocking your 4th you know, aspect of Apocalypse will give you another point to be able to unlock it. I've unlocked only 3, 4th one not just yet. So stuff like that, right? And other things most likely, but of course it's an entire system I didn't really get the chance to get into. Either way, this is the build. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to take another look at the tree, this is it. I mean, Life Leech, the Stasis node, attack speed. We're going to get into some more attack speed over here, and all the crit possible on the tree, essentially. A little bit of stat points, and as big and as thick as two-handed weapon as we can find. It's been a freaking blast. 16 hours of stream. I'm gonna go to grind some sleep, wake up, and be back on the stream. I mean, Wolcen hype, guys. Wolcen hype. Also, another word: be easy on Wolcen Studios. They're a small company. It's fine if nothing, is not 100%. If things are not 100% perfect on release, take it easy. Don't give them shit on Twitter. It's not nice. Be kind. They're people. They made this wonderful game, and it's a project they've been working on for 3.5 years. So just try and be more considerate, guys. Okay? Don't be a little childish, entitled kids. It's not going to help anyone. Just play a little bit offline, learn the game. When the servers are stable, we can play in a group, and we're going to invite you guys on stream, and we're going to have a whole bunch of grinding. This is now a Wolcen YouTube channel and a Wolcen stream. Alright, so this was it, my first Wolcen video post-release, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Plenty more to come.